Hey, welcome back. We have another knife, and probably the most exciting one so far, if I had to, at least in the last couple weeks. This one was hard to get. So let's get this unboxed. If you're wondering, that's the Demko AD20.5 and the AS10A embroidery there that I did the unboxing with. Let me just pull this out, make sure nothing's going to be a problem here. And looks like we got a little something extra in here, actually. Very cool seller that I got to pick this up from. And he, I think these are some back spacers for Spyderco's. So that's really nice of him. That's very cool. So he made those himself. Really appreciate that. Oh, cool. Really nice texturing on it. Although I suppose you don't see that. Anyway, let's get into it because we have a brown. And if you've been following the channel, you know I've been super interested in what he's putting out. And so I got some of the ones that he had before on the secondary market, the LHC and the Cortex, but oh, there's the big boy, the FSD. Finally got it. Oh man, this big one's a crazy one. I'm trying to get a mini right now also, but this is serial number 213 of the FSDs, and if you're familiar, he only is making one knife at a time. Holy smokes, that thing is a beast. Well, I can see why he started making the mini. You do not realize how big this knife is until you get it up next to, here's again the Demko AD20.5. It's like an illusion on the screen how big this knife is. Look how much bigger that is than the Demko. And I, again, don't even think the screen's doing it justice. Maybe if I put it in this direction, it might help. This is a big honking knife. Let's put a Demko AD20 full size next to it, just to put this in perspective. I think the handle might be even longer on the brown. This is a big honkin' knife. That fuller is really neat. What a cool design. And then they have this, pretty innovative liner button lock. It's a button lock, but it's a liner button lock. Awesome ting that comes in there too. It's a really interesting knife. Very light, lighter than I expected it to be. For a knife this size, shockingly light. Missed that one. Oh, I see. You got a pretty good detent on there. So you got to push through that pretty good. But man, when you do, that is a satisfying feedback. Blade is just unbelievable. It's so big, but so hollow ground. What a wild, wild design. That is impressive. That is crazy. You can feel that hollow so well. Let's see if I can kind of show it to you a little bit here. Like the amount that's carved out there for a blade stock thickness is just wild. This is really different than the other stuff that he put out in the past. And it's, I'd love to do a little weight comparison here of these two. That is a really neat button lock. I like it. A lot of people talk about, do you want your button lock on the thumb or on the finger? And I think I see why some people really like this being on the finger. So this is one of the heaviest Demkos. This is an 80/20, no slot. Like this is about as heavy as they get. This is the full blade stock thickness. So that is to compare. You're talking about a much lighter knife, 5.2 ounces. Just a lot more taken out here. Wow, what a great, great knife. This is one of the best impressions I've had a knife in quite some time. This is a great way to, this video is being taken on December 29th. This is a great way for me to kind of wrap up the year just from a knife impression perspective. I'd really tried to get one of these all year, and finally it came to fruition this week. I'm really glad I got the large first too. I think the mini is going to be really sweet, but this large one just makes quite an impression. Do I dare to try the front flip on this on video? Why not? No, I shouldn't do it. God, I can't bring myself to do it. I'll probably practice that one off the video and then do another video of it. It's not the most intuitive front flipper, I'll say. You're coming way around from here to there. It feels like you're traveling a long way, whereas some front flippers, the tab sticks up further, so the distance feels more intuitive. What I learned you really try and do with a front flipper is not just push that, but push it to there. And so I think of like this angle, try and push down around the side there. And I don't know, maybe I can. The other problem is the back side of the knife wants to come around and kind of get you there. So I don't think it's my favorite on the front flipper side. I've seen people do it with all sorts of what I see someone do. I saw someone like, maybe it was a mini where I saw it, but gosh, I don't even know what the heck. Maybe he was holding it upside down and opened it with like this finger. I mean, you can definitely deploy this knife in a lot of ways, but that is just really impressive. Really liking the button lock actuation here too. It's very intuitive. Again, if you're not familiar with what actually is going on, it's not your typical button lock. It's pushing down a liner lock when you do that. Maybe that's not the exact correct term for what's going on in there, but that's the best way I could describe it. That's interesting. That's really interesting. So when you're coming from this side, the detent's very strong. When you're coming from this side, the detent's much lighter, which lets you roll it out really easily. That's really nice. So you can do a thumb deployment with it. Yeah. Took a sec for me to kind of figure out what the action was there, but it can definitely be thumb deployed and rolled out really nicely, actually. And rolled back in, which is kind of uncommon. I've never really felt a knife where you could roll it back in like that, because you can come grab the button with this finger and then roll the knife right back in, which is very controlled. That's a really nice feel, where you can kind of roll it out and roll it back in. Never seen that before. This thing's really cool. I am not surprised, but like pleasantly surprised, I guess. I don't know. I'm more impressed than I thought I was gonna be. I knew I was gonna like it, but well, I thought I was gonna like it, I should say. Didn't know, but I'm liking it more than I expected to. So, God, that hollow ground is crazy. I've never seen one that you can see so visually. Like, you can really just look at it and see the hollow on it. It's pretty wild how deep the hollow is. Almost to the point of like, you really would want to be careful what you use it for. Like, the cool thing about the Demkos is you can go to work with them. This thing's so thin, it's probably a really nice functional blade, very slicey and all, but man, you'd want to be careful what you're using this thing for. This is one thing I have noticed with a few of the brown knives. They don't, I don't know, maybe the guy got it from, I'll go ask him. Maybe he used it a little bit. I thought this one was either new in box or like new in box, but they're not the sliciest like edge. I don't know if he does that on purpose or what the story is, but the front side of this one seems pretty good. So there's an A-sharp part of it for sure. Let's see. Sometimes you can figure out where the sharp parts are on the knife by kind of plunging it into something and seeing where it slides easy versus hard. Anyways, it'd be very easy to touch that up or put the edge on it that you wanted if you decided to use it, or I decided to use it in this case. But that is just a really beautiful, beautiful display of knife making. And it's, you know, if you're not familiar with the channel, this a big part of the appeal and why I was excited about this knife is because this is produced about 30 minutes from my house in Blaine, Washington. I'm in Bellingham, Washington. And yeah, just really excited about what Craig Brown is doing. Now tomorrow he has a drop, and I saw he's putting out 18 of the mini FSD, so I'm going to see if I have a chance to get one. All of them will be in CPM 154. And it's going to be very hard. Like, I strongly doubt that I will. I think a lot of people are subscribed on that, and they will be gone ridiculously fast. If I go for one, and I am planning on it, I'm going to try and probably grab the other pattern. I'd love to have, I don't think they're quite matching anyways. I think the pattern on the mini doesn't really, I don't know what if you want to call this concave or collapse like this one does. I think it's like more of a consistent pattern. Still like it, but I might try and get that horizon pattern where instead of going this way, it kind of appears to come down from the top of the knife. If I have a choice, I'm sure I won't have a lot of say in the matter tomorrow, but that would be my preference, just to kind of variety it up. And I'm not going to do like a deep review on this knife. I feel like there's some really good reviews out there. I watched the one from Metal Complex, which I thought was very thoughtful and took all the right things into consideration, and I'd encourage you to take a look at that as well if you're interested in learning more about it or trying to figure out if this is the right knife for you. I'm just going to give a quick feel on, this is probably not the right pocket for it. I've got some zippered pockets here, so they're not a good test subject, but you know, one of the things that he does is mill out underneath the pocket clip there, which is really nice. It's obviously not ambidextrous, so that's not nice for everyone perhaps, but great for me as a righty. Oh, and his so he moved that. I was looking inside the handle, but the Blaine, Washington, USA is now under the pocket clip. So that's super cool. Love that. That's an even cooler place. It was cool before. It was usually like inside of the handles here, but now it's in the pocket clip, which is even a little cooler. So that's pretty neat. Man, cool knife. Super stoked to have this in the collection. Super duper stoked. Really, I'm impressed. Saw someone took a picture of it like this. I don't know if that even seems feasible. I'm trying to figure out how he did it. How he balanced it. That's probably what it is. Something like that. Just like that. It's pretty cool. Pretty wild knife. Love the detent. It's like not super strong. I'd call it like a pretty medium to medium easy detent, but it's very like round. It doesn't feel so abrupt as a lot of the detents that I'm used to, where you can just feel the ball kind of pop out of the fossa that it sits in. This one feels, it's different. And I think it's, you know, if you are familiar with how again, I'm not trying to do like a how this knife works kind of video, but if you're familiar with how this works inside, there's basically a track that the knife runs on. And it's not, you know, that's not your typical engineering there. So I imagine the detent would be very different because of how it's designed. Super neat knife. I can't stop. It's funny because I remember people saying that it's very fidgety, and I have to admit, like, it's right there with the Demko. If not, in some ways I like it more, some ways I like it less. But, you know, the huge part of the appeal for this knife is the fidgetiness. And yeah, this brown is right in there with it. It's so funny. I keep looking back and forth from the screen. You see it in person and it's like a massive knife. I gotta find something else to kind of put it up next against. Like, there's the Spyderco Para 3. So you can see how much bigger it is than that. You know, it's a big knife. That's a big knife, right? And it's like just as big. The Ontario Rat 1 is a really big knife. Not crazy big, right? There are bigger knives out there, but it's a really good one to compare it to because it's it just shows how substantial this knife is because it's bigger than the Rat 1 there. Yeah, I'm pretty thrilled to get one of the FSDs as opposed to the mini. Like, I'll go try and find a mini too, but this thing to me is pretty special. I'm really glad I got a full size here. So, and I really love this pattern. For the full size, I like this pattern more. I think for the mini, I kind of like I might like the horizontal more. I think they're both great, but you know, I saw someone do is open it like this, the inside of their finger, which seems crazy. Yeah, I saw someone kind of knuckle it out like this, which feels a little nuts to me. I don't need to prove anything tonight. Just stoked to have it. So I think that's about it for this one. I'll see how things go with getting a mini. Like, that would be one that I'd really be looking at reviewing as an EDC. You could certainly EDC this, 5 ounces, nothing too crazy. But you know, this is a pretty big knife that for me is more of a collector. For someone it might be like a great EDC, but for me I put this more in my collector category personally. That is pushing 8.75 inches. That's a big old knife for a folder. God, every time I get it in hand, I feel like this feel of the knife, I'm expecting to have to go, you know, actuate here, and to have the button lock just feels like a little privilege every time. You just kind of forget that that's one extra really cool element of the knife as you use it. So yeah, I'd say that's, you know, I guess I could do a little close up for some of you that may not want to go running over and doing some other videos to show a little bit of what this beauty looks like up close here. This is just really impressive how this is cut out in here. That's crazy. All right, thanks for stopping by for this one. Please like, subscribe, please comment. Let me know if there are some things I may have missed or that should have been mentioned. And I will see you on the next one. Take care.